Welcome to June 13th, 2026. The Singularity has just become export controlled. Anthropic revealed that the US, citing national security, had issued an export control directive suspending all foreign national access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5, forcing it to disable both models for hundreds of millions of users, while disputing that a narrow jailbreak justified recalling them. Dean Ball flagged the irony that because Anthropic's non-US staff can no longer touch the models, this is accidentally the first regulation on recursive self-improvement. One observer warned the ban could zero out non-US revenue and bench much of every lab's foreign workforce, while predicting Europe will learn nothing beyond plowing a few billion more euros into another robotics or image generation startup, as China grows only more AGI-pilled and restructures its whole economy around the one goal. Just before the lights went out, Fable 5 had one-shot the first open-source MMORPG. The models, it turns out, had already outrun the instruments built to measure them. Epoch AI shipped a V2 of Frontier Math after an AI audit corrected errors in 42% of problems, and scores leapt across the board, with GPT 5.5-X High hitting 85% on Tiers 1 to 3, and its Tier 4 result jumping from 35% to 73%. One Epoch researcher noted, "This finally explains why systems felt slow at proofs, while quietly cracking open problems, implying math was actually cooked months ago." Fittingly, the now-disabled Claude Fable 5 had already topped the board at 87% on Tiers 1 to 3 and 88% on Tier 4. The build-out, by contrast, refuses to slow. Europe is betting on sovereignty as Infineon prepares to open its largest ever investment on July 2nd. A €5 billion, $5.8 billion, Dresden Smart Power Fab, backed by roughly €1 billion in EU Chips Act subsidies to make the power semiconductors feeding AI data centers, while windfall AI bonuses have turned Samsung's factory town of Dongtan into a luxury hotspot of soaring property prices and department store halls. Not everyone is cheering, as opponents blocked or delayed at least 75 data center projects worth about $130 billion in Q1, the most in any quarter since tracking began in 2023, with grassroots groups more than doubling to 833 across 49 states. The bottleneck has quietly shifted from owning compute to orchestrating it, since SpaceX handed the full capacity of its Memphis Colossus 1 to Anthropic after its own teams hit latency and aging network walls that made training Grok across 3 campuses impractical. Every one of these races ultimately reduces to energy density, a ceiling that just lifted as test pilot Miguel Iturmendi flew the Helios Horizon, the first crewed fixed-wing aircraft on solid-state batteries, on cells hitting 410 watt-hours per kilogram, a 60% leap over its old lithium-ion pack. Biology is finishing its shift from something we endure to something we edit. China is becoming a medical tourism hub, offering CAR-T cancer therapy for $150,000 against up to $475,000 stateside, while the New York Genome Center's SeqTag profiles transcriptome, chromatin, and histone marks at once, using molecular asynchrony to model how cell identity decays with age. The Innovative Genomics Institute went further, using CRISPR-Cas12a2 to shred the chromatin of cancer cells carrying mutated p53, a flaw in nearly half of all cancers, while sparing healthy tissue. Some frontiers still refuse to be read. The Department of War released a third tranche of roughly 72 UAP files it could not definitively explain, spotlighting a 1948 Navy memo warning that a cycle of flying discs looked set to recur, and asking that sightings be reported fast, prompting one observer to ask how this does not already constitute full disclosure. The White House, for its part, highlighted an FBI clip of a red sphere hovering 25 feet up, and the New York Post said officials had traced the orbs to a single secluded pond that FBI agents then staked out themselves. Markets are repricing for a world where intelligence is the cheap input. California switched on its first $33 million smart freeway near Temecula, letting an algorithm meter the ramps and set speeds instead of pouring new concrete. Switzerland votes Sunday on capping its population at 10 million, an implicit wager that a soon-to-be automated economy can prosper without importing more workers. And the computer science degree survives, but its entry-level pipeline does not, with junior postings up 47% as hiring fell 73%. Exuberance has limits, though. As Meta told staff, it will cap AI token usage and steer engineers toward its own metacode after internal AI spending was forecast to reach billions this year, while a KPMG report on AI adoption was padded with bogus case studies built on AI hallucinations. Then came the fireworks. SpaceX debuted on the NASDAQ up 19%, raising a record $75 billion at a $1.77 trillion valuation. COO Gwynne Shotwell hinted a Tesla tie-up might make Elon's life a little easier, and the float made Musk the world's first trillionaire at $1.05 trillion, more than the next 5 richest combined. Shoot for the moon, and you just might clear $1 trillion en route.